It's our Saturday class. I'm excited a bit with the feedback we're getting so far. I'm looking forward to when you will write your exams and the results will start rolling in, and then the processes will actually kickstart, and you can join us in the UK. We are waiting for you. We'll see you very, very soon. We hope. All right, so let's get started properly. Today we are going to be continuing from where we stopped on our writing task 1. I want to appreciate all of you that sent in your work, everyone that sent in their assignments. I'm going through them. I should finish going through them before our next writing task 2 class, so that corrections can be made. You can learn new things, and then do more work. If you have not done the work and you're interested in writing them, please go to the YouTube channel, watch our previous class. That's last Saturday. No, on Tuesday. The class we had on Tuesday this week. If you watch it, you will hear the question towards the end, and then you can go ahead and write the task. For this morning, we are going to be talking about the types of tasks that you will find in task 1. Remember that the writing task 1 is where you will have something given to you, a diagram, a picture, could be an illustration of something, a group of data put together. It can come in form of a bar chart, a pie chart, can be a graph, can be a line graph, can be a bar graph, it can be a process graph, it can be just a process, and it can be a map of a place, maybe a proposed site for something, or a floor map as well, depending on what you have. Those are the kind of tasks that you are going to be finding in task 1. And you are expected to write not less than 150 words. I usually tell people that you should not write more than 170, at most 180. This is because in a multitude of words, mistakes are not absent. So to avoid mistakes, especially with grammar, you write as moderately as possible, write within the given number of words, and then that way your work can be concise and precise, carrying the information that you're supposed to give to your examiner. And then at the end of the day, you make your band score and you go your way. So you are expected to write not more than 100, not less than 150. You can go more than 150, but please don't go beyond 170. If it gets really too bulky, it's difficult for the examiner to keep at it, to keep reading, and they get tired. And then as much as possible, write legibly. Make sure that your handwriting is clear. It must not be beautiful. If you can write your words, your letters, clearly 1, 1, 1, 1, it will really be lovely, so that your examiners can easily watch out for your spelling errors and punctuation marks, and then correct, the correct sentences as well. We have talked about the structure of the writing task 1, that in writing task 1, you don't write more than 3 paragraphs. In the writing task generally, You are expected to present the work in your own idea. In writing task 1, which we are going to be talking about some of the question types today, you are expected to, give us 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph, which is more like an introduction, will carry your question prompt, paraphrased, and then your overall. We call it the overall statement. Please don't separate your overall statement from the paragraph. Please don't from the main, your first write-up from the question. Some people make it another paragraph, and at the end of the day, you will have more than 3 paragraphs. It's really not advisable to do that. The examiners will likely want to draw a line between your writing task 1 and your writing task 2. So to be on the safe side, please let the difference in the paragraphing be very, very visible. Let them see it and know it, that you're writing a task 1 and not a task 2, or you're writing a task 2 and not a task 1. So in your overall statement, you will have your question prompt paraphrased with the overall statement. How do you get your overall statement? Your overall statement comes from what you can generally conclude from what you are saying. All right, what is visible, what you can deduce from just merely looking at this graph, this diagram, this process that is before you. How do you generate that? You have a general look on the question that is before you, and you just draw your own conclusion. Yes. For instance, if you see a map of APA development in one place or 2 different maps together, maybe you saw a map of your village in the year 1950, and the second map is the year 2020. You would have seen some striking differences. You would have seen the demolition of some places, some things that were there in 1950 that are no longer there completely. Some things were changed, some were modified. You would have seen a transformation of certain things, the removal of some things, or the addition of certain things, the construction or the development of things. For instance, if you go to my village, if you give me 2 maps from my village and one has to do with maybe the early 80s, 1980, and the year 2000 and 2020, for instance, there is the construction of some churches added to what was there before. There's a construction of some mosques, smaller buildings. People's family houses have been built, and the marketplace is bigger than it used to be. There are shops now. Those days it was just an open market, and it's not even where it was now. Though the same market, but the location has changed. That's how you see it on a map. So when you see a map, what is that map going to tell you? What can you say just merely looking at this map? That is where your overall statement comes from. If you see a process graph, for example, a process where you are maybe the process of making gold from coal or diamond from whatever, gold from coal, for example, it has to go through processes, all right? So what are those processes? You have a look at the processes. If this is a process graph, how many steps are involved here, okay? If this is a process graph, what is the beginning of it and what is the end of it? If this is a map, how many buildings have been, put in place or removed? If this is a map that I have now, is there any striking development? Are there things that remain unchanged? So when you have a map, you need to have a look and look for maybe striking numbers in that map, striking, occurrences, striking areas, things that are large, that are small, that are big, things that are of moderate size. If there's something that you saw in this map and you are seeing in this map again, things that are the same, you need to take note of that. If it's a line graph or a graph of numbers, you need to take note of the very highest number, the high numbers and the low numbers. You need to take note of the differences in these numbers. For example, if the map is about male and female, you need to take note of the highest for male and highest for female, the lowest for male and lowest for female. If the map is about consumption of food, for example, you need to take note of which one was more consumed and which one was less consumed. Okay, these are the things that you need to know so that you can write your essay around these things. It is these key points that you have noted that you are going to put 1 and 2 together, putting sentences and all of that to make a paragraph. At the end of the day, you come up with an overall statement. I saw a map of my village in 1980 and I'm seeing a map of my village in 2020, for example. Overall, what have I noted? There has been developments, all right? There has been certain developments or transformation of some areas from the year 1980 to the year 2020. That will be my overall statement. Okay, if I saw a map of the consumption of certain things, for example, maybe cigarettes, and I saw that the rate is higher in men than in women, or that of the women increase and that of the men reduce, what am I going to say as my overall statement? Overall, both male and female smoked, but the number of men that smoke is more than that of the female, although that of the female increased over time. If maybe it started from a low number and went high, even though it is not more than that of the men, you need to just give me something. Just pick out the main points. All right? Your main point, what you can see just at a glance on this map, on this graph, on this picture, on this diagram that you have been given, is what you should tell me about in your overall statement. That way, just like your writing task 2, where I told you that you need to tell me what you are going to be doing, I, as your examiner, will be looking out for your highlights of the high number of men that smoked in your paragraph 1. It keeps you focused. When you have a look at your overall statement, it tells you what you are supposed to be writing about. For instance, there's a line graph, there's a process graph, and there are 10 steps in that process graph. Maybe from the making of coal, for example, the making of charcoal from wood. From the moment the wood is cut down in the forest to when they are arranged and allowed to dry, then you set fire on them and you allow the fire to burn, they cover them, they do all of those. So if the steps have been outlined as 10, for instance, I know that my first step is from the hewing of the trees, okay? And my last step is for the packaging of the charcoal for sale or to the consumers. Now, I have told this examiner that there are 10 steps involved in the making of charcoal. So the examiner is on the lookout for your sentences containing those 10 steps. The examiners are not superhumans. They work based on what you give them. And so they tick, they mark you, they grade you. It is when you don't measure up to their mark that one fail. And when you measure up and go above it, that's when you pass and pass excellently. So what do? We are going to be solving some examples like we have done before, and then we'll be looking at these points one after the other. Okay, so we have done the overall. You say your overall statement, which is your first your first paragraph, which happens to be like an introduction to you. Here you note the key points. As much as possible, change the words that you can change. Get synonyms. I keep talking about synonyms. Change the words. Do not change the meaning of the whole statement, but use synonyms to paraphrase it in your own English. The given picture is a diagram, okay, of Uboloafo local government area in the year 2002 and the year 1992. That's what they have given you. They will now say highlight. There are two pictures now, 2 photographs or 2 diagrams, 2 maps. They'll tell you highlight and summarize the main features, making comparisons where necessary. That's your assignment. Now, what is your job? You are going to highlight and you are going to summarize. and you are going to compare these three things. Take note of the things that you find in that question prompt. If you have highlighted and you have summarized and you didn't make comparison in something that you are supposed to make comparison, you will score low mark for your task completion. Okay? It means you have not finished the task. Now, if you highlight and summarize and you compare, you have scored correct mark for your task completion. It's not automatic. They are still going to look for your errors and all of that. But for task achievement, you have completed it, you have finished the task. Do we understand? Good. Then you go over to your lexical resource. When we are talking about the lexical resource in this task, it's talking about what? Your vocabs. What are you able to give me? Lexical resource. What about your grammar? What about your coherence and cohesion? If they say highlight, summarize, and then compare, are you comparing before you highlight? Or you have given a summary of the whole thing even before you started? So they want to see that flow between your work. They want to see that your work, they are able to read with this a precision, and you take note of all of the links, okay? The use of vocabularies is very, very, very important. The use of action words, the verbs, adjectives to qualify what you are saying. If you lack these things, you are going to be losing marks for them. We have a rule in this class. If you join the class and you don't have your video on, I'm going to take you out. You go to YouTube, you can watch it on YouTube. Maybe for one thing or the other, you are not able to join us live. Please go to YouTube, okay? Go to YouTube and watch. If you are joining us live, it's fine, fantastic. You can ask questions when it's time. But you must have your video on, please. I want to see your face, just like you are seeing my face. It's a visual class. Please, if you don't have your video on, put it on, all right? So, all of these four things that I mentioned, your coherence and cohesion, task completion and accomplishment, your lexical resource, okay, grammatical range and accuracy, sentence formation, how much of complex sentences have you used? I told us before now that it is very important to use more of simple and complex sentences. If you can, avoid the compound sentences because they are not really clear. They start and they don't finish. They are like those that hang in the middle. Then the use of these words to join your sentences is very, very important. However, nevertheless, furthermore, in addition, meanwhile, but, although, use those words accordingly to make complete sentences. Put them together in the paragraphs, and you will have a complex sentence that will give you your accurate marks. For instance, I saw two maps, and I'm trying to explain that this is a map of Ubolo in, two maps, okay? They are both giving, the given graph or the given map shows two different, shows one village or one place at two different seasons or times. It's a changeover task. It's not static. It's where you have, there's been some changes over a period of time. So overall, it can be seen that there have been some developments and constructions of new buildings from between the year 1990 and the year 2020, depending on the year they give you. Now, in my first paragraph, because there are two different graphs, okay? Because there are two different graphs, I can choose to answer it picking on the things that I'm going to be talking about. And that is going to have to do with what I see that is occurring in both, the similar things. What I see that is now bigger is smaller in the other map and is bigger in this one. All right, maybe it is twice its size, its original size now. Okay, maybe it is half the size, it was bigger, now it is smaller, depending on what I've discovered from the study of this map. I'm going to be writing about them. I'm going to be writing about the numbers. I'm going to be writing about my similarities and the differences. I can choose to answer it in two different ways if I have two maps, or if I have two diagrams, two different diagrams. I can choose to answer, the first paragraph will be about one of the diagram. I'll write everything I need to write about the diagram all together, making my comparison there. Or I can decide to write and pick the items one by one, the similarities between A and B, and write it in A, in the first paragraph and in the second paragraph. Now, there's a difference between those two. None of them is wrong. All of them are correct, any of them that you choose. The difference is this: when you choose the first part, like the one that you have to write about one particular one and then go to write about the second one, it's easier, it's faster. The second one, you have more details, but you have more grammar errors because of joining this and this. You have to, and sometimes you miss out information as well. And if you are going to use that method, if you have talked about something before, you can't talk about it again. But if you are using the other method, if for instance you choose a particular data, you can discuss it there for map A and still discuss it for map B because there's a difference. Do you get my point? Am I understood? Okay.
Not clear, ma.
Fine. If you choose, if there are two different diagrams given to you, you can choose to pick one diagram in one paragraph, discuss everything about that diagram as a whole. Go to the other paragraph, choose the second diagram, and discuss it as a whole. You are not wrong. Do you understand that one? There's another way of doing it, picking the components in the two diagrams and deciding which component I should write first for both of them and which component I should write second for both of them. Which one is easier? The first one is easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
with the first one, you have less error. With the first one, you waste less time. But with the second one, you need to sit down, highlight the points. For instance, if the building is now bigger or is smaller, you need to note it down. And as you are writing in that paragraph, so and so area on the north or on the south or the east or west or wherever that was like this is now have its size. So I usually encourage people to practice with the one that is easier so they get used to it. And when you find it in the exam, you are able to pick it quickly and finish it on time. Do you understand it now?
Small.
Small. Where are you?
Yeah.
Mrs. Mary Ann, where are you confused?
Well, I was not the one that said small, but all how I understood from what you just said is that, we are asked to compare and contrast.
Exactly.
So by writing the first map first, before going to the second map, is there any possibility that we'll be able to compare doing it that way?
Yes, you can.
How, ma? How do we do
compare
that?
because everything is going to be in one paragraph. Remember the use. It's not in all cases that you compare. I want you to note that one first of all. It's not in all that you compare. Where you will compare majorly that I have seen so far is when you have things like a graph of a male and a female, for example, Okay? If you have a graph of a male and female, it's one graph. So there's nothing like you going to write about one graph and going to write about the second graph. Are you getting my point?
Yes, ma'am. We are.
Good.
Yes,
So if you have a graph that is carrying different components, and maybe the major players there are, let me just keep using male and female as an example. Maybe smoking amongst male and female. They will tell you to highlight the main points. What is your main points that you are highlighting here? You will look for the highest number. Who smoked? What is the highest percentage of the smoking? In what particular year? What is the lowest? So if you pick highest and you pick lowest, that is 1 point. Do you get my point? At one point, did it increase or reduce drastically? Okay? For both of them. If you, by the time you pick this and you pick that, you discover that you have like 6 to 10 points, depending on the kind of graph that you have. And if you have about 6 to 10 points, you are going to now divide whatever point you have into 2 and write in paragraph 1 and in paragraph 2. And you'll be able to compare in that instance. It's majorly graph, that's where you compare. But when you have a process graph or you have a map, they will tell you to discuss the maps, and you are likely going to be discussing the differences in this map, the changes that has occurred. So that way, you are going to have to write them one after the other, which is better for you. Where you are comparing and you have a graph, you will discover that your comparison is not like you are going to say, now it's time for me to compare. Or, Mr. Examiner, comparing graph A with graph B. No, it's in your statement. Excuse me, Doris, can you please put off your sound? And Mary Ann, Beauty, your... Let me unmute you. If you're coming into the class, please remain muted. You can do your setting in such a way that as soon as you enter any class, you are muted, okay? Doris, click your mic and mute it, please. Okay, so.
She'll not sleep if you say that not to happen, not to happen.
Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? I don't know what setting she did. I can't even see. Who is it this time? The background is okay now, isn't it? Can everybody hear now? Okay, so oh, God bless you. Sorry. Ugu Doris, can you hear me? I think our network is hanging. I can't even do anything with it. Yeah, it's done. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, I was trying to explain that you will majorly find comparisons in graphs, and you will definitely, in the process of you explaining what is there, while you are saying higher than, you are comparing already. Do you know that? You don't need to make a statement and say, I'm comparing now. Examiner, this is the aspect I'm comparing, so read for my comparison. No, you don't have to make a statement like that. Your comparison comes inside your explanation, inside the general writing that you're doing. Okay, when we solve the question, you will find out that you compare with ease, the same way you highlight with ease. All right, the same way you highlight with ease, you compare with ease. Amo and Yetunde, Amo, Yetunde and Okafor, please, can you put your videos on? Thank you. And if for any reason you can't have your video on, you should please join the YouTube class and watch. We don't have any problem with that. If you come to the Zoom class, make sure your video is on. Thank you. So this morning, we are going to be looking at certain questions or certain question types, and we will do the graph, okay? And we will, as much as we have the time, we'll go further from there. We have done some before, haven't we? Writing task 1. Have we done any one before? People that have been following us.
Yes.
Mrs. Uchenna, have we done any writing task 1 before? You have done before.
2. We have writing task 2.
Right? Is that when you joined this class? Who joined us from the beginning?
Yes.
We've done writing task 1. We've done like 3 or 4 different types. We've done process graph, I remember. I remember explaining process graph. We've done bar graph, where we talked about Australian children, isn't it? And the New Zealanders.
Yes,
I remember.
Yes, but
please
we
go
did not
to
do
our
it as
YouTube.
in...
Okay, I'm talking about what we've done in the class. Go to the YouTube channel. You will find all the classes that we have done before. Go through them. It makes it easier for you to follow the class subsequently. Okay, it's because of that I have to go over certain things about the writing task generally always before we start, so we have a start point for everybody, even if you are joining for the first time. Okafor and Yetunde, can you please put your videos on, please? So we are going to be doing graph today. All right. So when we see a graph, what do we do? What do we do? We make comparisons.
Please, ma, I wanted to ask a question, please. Hello, ma.
Go ahead.
Please, how do I get the YouTube channel? Because I'm just joining for the first time today.
Okay, how did you register? You saw something about registration and you clicked and you registered, yeah?
Yes, and I registered and then they sent me the link.
Go down, that same link where you click the one for registration. On it, there's the one for YouTube. There's Twitter. So if you click on that YouTube, it will take you to our page. When you open our page, you subscribe, you click on the bell button so that you can get notifications. If we post any new video or we are online and you are not online, you will know. And then you will check on the icons. You will find the one telling you the videos. your videos or something. You click on that videos, you see our previous videos, you see a list of them. Okay, you can click on autoplay so that when one finishes, the other will play. That way, you will find you have access to all of the previous classes. Okay.
Oh, okay, ma. Thank you.
Good. Yep. Okay, that's it. So you will find a graph telling you about a particular item. What are you going to do about it? First of all, you need to read the task. Whatever task, a graph, whatever in task 1, you read the task, then you paraphrase your keywords. Paraphrase the keywords in the task instructions. All right? Then you go ahead to work out your information. How do you work out your information? You look for where you are going to start. You need to work out your information in the sense that what kind of data am I giving? Is this percentage? Is this numbers? Is this just anyhow data? What kind of data generally have I been given? Okay, you need to work out that and understand what information you have been given. Now, you need to identify what are the highlights. Identify highlights, okay? Depending on the kind of task you have, usually you should have up to about 6 to 10, sometimes 6 to 12, depending on the kind of task that you have. Different highlights. These highlights are highest numbers, lowest numbers. The numbers that overtook and the one that was overtaken. At what time, the year it happened, or the period it happened. Okay? You will also have your highlights should be the major differences between the two of them. Okay? So by the time you are able, the striking resemblance as well between the two of them, similarities between those items that occurred in that your data that you have been given. You need to know it. Then you work out an overall summary. How do you work out an overall summary? Like I told you, a glance will give you an overall summary. That way you can have an overall statement. At a glance, I know that there were 10 steps involved in this thing. At a glance, I can see that there have been development over the years. At a glance, I can see that the female is more than the male, or they smoked more, or they ate more. At a glance, I can see that chicken was sold in the market at the beginning more than turkey meat or something, or beef, but towards the end, chicken became whatever again. At a glance, I can see that it fluctuated, everything fluctuated, or a particular item fluctuated. Okay, at a glance, I can see that a particular item went up and was the highest. Suddenly, it went down. I have to note when it went up, when it started going up, from what point did it go up, at what point did it achieve a peak, okay? What is the highest number at that point? At what point did it come down, and what number did it come to? What year, and what is the number? By the time you pick all of this, you discover that you have even more points than you will need. So you have to select, or the one that you can remember, you quickly write about them, and you are able to still score your mark. Does it make sense? Does it make sense to anybody? Okay, so now we have a graph, and the graph is saying, then after you have worked out your overall statement, then you plan the structure of your work, which is paragraph 1, 2, and 3. You go ahead and write, and then you write your answer. As much as possible, please, even if it's 2 minutes, create time to proofread your work. Proofread your work, because, excuse me, in the course of reading your work, you find out that you have made a mistake. A place you were supposed to put as in A, you didn't put it, or a place you were supposed to write D, you had written or something, or a place for comma or full stop or something, you didn't dot your I. There's usually something that you will find, and you will correct and help yourself at the end of the day. That should be the general plan, all right, of your work when you see a writing task 1. Okay, I'm looking for our task. So we can do a task and see. I'll share my screen with all of us, and you can take a screen grab of that so you keep it for yourself. I'm looking for a graph. I want a graph. I don't want I had it set out. Okay, fine, I've seen one. So let's see if I can make this bolder. Ooh, over bold. Oh God. Yeah. Okay. While I'm waiting. Were we able to send in our work? How many people? I saw some work. I was really looking forward to finding some people's work. I ended up not seeing. If you were in this class last time and you couldn't send in your work, can I know why you could not send in your work? Fine, let's do this first. This is a bad chat. But we can compare here. Yeah, we can compare. Good. Yeah, I can hear you all. Go ahead, darling. I can hear you.
Please, this similarity, can you just go over it a little bit?
Yeah, this work I'm doing, this example we are going to do will explain the similarity. That's why I was looking for that particular one.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm sharing my screen with you.
Okay.
When you see it, you can snap it on your phone or on your computer.
All right. Okay.
Have you seen the task?
Yes, I've seen it.
Has everybody seen the task? Yeah? Okay, so the task says, the graph below gives information from a report in 2010 about the use of energy in Australia since 1980 with projections until 2030. So the graph is about the use of energy in Australia from 1980 to 2030. That's how many years?
1920 to 1930. That is 10 years now.
That's how 60 years.
Okay, 19 what? 1980 to 19.
That's 60 years.
50 years, 50, 50.
5 and 0. Thank you. So, first of all, what did I say we should do? Highlight your key points. Am I correct? Highlight your key points, paraphrase it. Okay? Then you get your introduction. Highlight your key points, paraphrase it, then your introduction. Now, if you on a look at this graph, what we can see is there is the solar energy, nuclear, natural gas, coal, oil. All right? The year 1980, 1990, 2000, 2010, up to 2030. In billions, it started from 0 until 60. So now we have all our data on both X and Y axis. Among these things, which of this energy is the most utilized?
Oil.
Oil and coal.
Oil is the most, I said most utilized.
Okay,
Which
okay.
one?
Oil.
Which of them is the least utilized?
Solar.
Solar.
Good. Which of them did not increase significantly over the years?
Natural gas.
Natural gas.
Solar.
Solar.
Solar. Solar.
Thank you. Solar. Which of them fluctuated well over the years?
Natural gas.
Gas.
Fluctuated.
Coal.
Natural gas.
Coal and natural gas.
Coal.
Coal and natural gas. Okay. So how many points do we have? The list, we have the list, which is solar.
Solar.
We have the highest, which is oil. And then we have the one that did not really increase significantly. Which is what?
Solar.
Solar.
Then we have one that started low somehow and overtook another. Which is that one?
Coal.
It overtook natural gas at some point. And then we have the one that fluctuated over the years. We have two of them that fluctuated over the years. Isn't it?
Yes.
We have one that started at the highest point, started higher than all of them. It was most utilized at the beginning and is still the most utilized at the end.
Oil.
We also have the last two down. If you have a look, you can see that both nuclear and solar, they were the same at some point. And then nuclear went up and came down again and overtook solar. Do you see it?
Yes.
Good. Those are points we are going to note. So overall, what can you say about this diagram? For me, I can see that overall, oil was the most utilized, while solar was the least used in that country over the period of
Can
time.
we go over it again, please? Let's go over it again.
Okay, ma'am. What exactly did you not understand?
Let's start afresh again, I beg, so that I can take it one after the other.
You mean I should start the lesson or this illustration, ma'am?
No, this illustration.
Perfect. Perfect. Now, the question for this illustration says the graph below gives information from a report in 2010 about the use of energy in Australia since 1980 with projections until 2030, which means that the use of energy from 1980 to 2030 over a period of 50 years. They have listed for us 5 different sources of energy here. From the y-axis and the x-axis, we can see that some of them have increased over the years. We can see that some were more used than the other. We can see that some started off at the same point, but ended up overtaking each other at some point. Therefore, I am going to conclude that we have among this oil 1 or 2 that is the highest and 1 or 2 that is the lowest.
Yes.
I said initially that when you see a question, you highlight your key points. We are drawing a conclusion on that highlighting our key points now. My key point here is going to be my highest my highest utilized, the most utilized, the least utilized, okay? The ones that fluctuated over the period of time, the ones that started similarly, but ended up overtaking each other at some point, the one that increased drastically, the one that increased not too significantly. So if I pick these points, I'm now going to put 1 and 2 together to make my sentences, to construct my paragraphs. Before then, I have an overall statement to write in your first paragraph, which is your introduction. I said that your overall statement is gotten or is made up of the problem statement with what you can see on a single look at this graph. On a single look at this graph, I have seen that oil is the most used form of energy, while solar is the least that was utilized.
Yes.
Perfect. Before then, you will go to get your keywords on the question prompt. Getting keywords in the question prompt will lead you to getting synonyms to fill these keywords. When you have found your synonyms, you will now join it together to make another statement, which means the same thing, but not using the same words. With the overall statement will give you your first paragraph. Do you understand to that point? Good. Yeah. So now the class is going to do the work. All right. Can we do our work now, class? What are our key words here? Keywords, please. Uchenna.
Graph.
The below graph.
What are you replacing it with?
Diagram.
Diagram. Good. Esther. Keyword.
Information.
What are you replacing it with?
Details.
Details. Okay, but there's a word that is more, that is better. Data.
Okay, data.
Okay, next one, Marianne.
Used.
Used. Good. Which word are you going to replace with?
Consumed.
Ma?
Consumed.
Consumed. I'll take it. Remember, as you are giving me, you are going to use it to make a sentence. So it's up to you. If you are able to convince me, that's it. Angela.
Utilization.
There's no utilization here. So give me a
No,
keyword.
I mean another synonym for
utilization. Use. Thank you.
Or consumption.
Angela, you were raising your hand before.
I've answered.
What did you want to say?
Already. No, I wanted to.
Perfect.
Bring
okay.
Keyword for use.
Okay, that's good. Okay, another keyword. Where are the males in this class? Blessed amongst women, where are they?
My own, no. Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Give me a keyword and then give me what you want to use.
For the graph, can I use the illustration below?
Yes, illustration.
The graph below.
Illustration.
The illustration below.
No, the illustration is.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, ma.
Okay, who else? Amaka, give me a keyword.
Gives.
Energy.
Okay, energy. What are you going to replace it with?
Power.
Perfect, energy. Gives, who said gives?
Replace it with what? Power?
It's me.
Yes,
Okay, so what does it say? What do you want to replace with?
Give. Supplies.
Okay, let's see.
Provide. Provide.
Okay, provide. I'm noting them down. Any other word?
Projection.
Projection.
Peace.
Projection.
Okay.
projection.
Projection.
Information. Detail. Information. Detail.
Somebody has said that.
Okay.
Okay, so
Projection.
any other one?
Projection.
Projection.
What are you replacing with, please?
Forecast.
Forecast.
Estimation.
Estimation. Which other one?
Prediction.
Prediction. Which other one? These are English students.
Until.
Expectation.
Okay. Sorry?
Until.
Expectation.
Until.
Maybe.
Until.
Maybe.
Okay. Until what do you want to tell me that you are putting?
Future.
Future.
Sure, yeah.
I'm waiting for when you give me your introduction. All right. With all this, can we see an overall statement now? I've given an overall statement, haven't I?
Yes. Yes.
Go to your writing pad. Give me an introduction to this task. You have 2 minutes. Write to everyone, please.
Oh.
Remember that from 1980 to 2030 is a period of 50 years. So instead of writing from 1980 to whatever, I can say over a period of 50 years. Yes, and you are correct. That could be that's your synonyms for that period of time. So you don't keep repeating words. And then you can't change Australia, but there's a way you can write it that you can actually change Australia. If you say the use of energy among Australians over a period of 50 years, you have changed something there, okay? And you have not missed out the information. I want to start seeing your write-up, please.
Are we writing it as in on the messages or?
Okay, is this your first time in this class, darling?
Let's still see the question.
This particular class.
Is this your first time in this class? We usually do our task while the class is ongoing. And we used to do it, write it to everybody.
Ma, please, your page again.
I know. I mean, I'm writing it on a paper, or we should write it on.
We used to type it, type it and send it to everyone. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma.
Adeola, please put your video on. Dorothy, Bukola.
The consumption.
You don't understand what she did do. You need to understand. If you don't understand, you let mom. Is that mommy too?
I'm just joining
Don't
today
be
now.
agitated.
So,
Don't be
speaking
agitated.
Greek, so
Don't be agitated. You need to just calm down and follow the class. I want you to know that everybody in this class, we are not competing with anyone. You will find out that in a general class, some people look like they are ahead. Some people look like they are crawling. Everybody learns at his or her pace. That's the essence of a class. Where you see people who are doing better than you, you want to be like them or more than them. That's the essence of having a class. Okay? It's your first time, it's your second time, you don't understand it yet, you will get to understand it at the right time. Just follow it up. the same way you have been able to join, go to the YouTube channel and listen to the other classes. It will help you to come up so that in another class, you will meet up with the other ones.
Ma, please.
Marianne, what do you want to say? I've unmuted you.
I see the question, you have removed it.
But I told everybody to take a screenshot.
Okay, yes, you are right, ma.
Now I'm sharing it again. Please take a screenshot because we will move on. If we move on, you will need the task. You will need this thing for you to go over it. If you are the type that used to go back to what we have learned, okay? Have you taken a screenshot? So the question says the graph below gives information from a report in 2010 about the use of energy in Australia since 1980 with projections until 2030. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons when relevant. Write at least 150 words. This task has an introduction. The introduction is your summary, your question prompt paraphrased with your overall statement. Then we are going to summarize the information by reporting. We are reporting our main ideas. What are the main features here? We have highest, lowest, fluctuations, okay, significant increase or rise, okay, decrease, sudden rise, steady rise, or steady decrease, depending on what you find, where it peaked, or where it plummeted, where it went down. And then we are going to do this in 2 different paragraphs. We make the comparisons while we go along. So, because we have got 5 items on this graph, we are going to divide it into 2 so that one part of it will be in the first paragraph, while the second part will be in the second paragraph. You need to decide and have a start point. That's the way it should be. So I will need to stop sharing so I can see your write-ups. I've seen a few of them. Thank you very much for attempting. Okay, let's see what we've got. I'm impressed.
Represent the highest amount of.
Put your overall statement along with it, too. That's how you get a complete introduction. Nobody has written overall for me.
As the highest amount of energy consumed, while solar power represents the
Overall statement. I've seen just one overall. Seen that they've got good ideas about it. Grammar. Oh. Okay, time up. Let's go to the explanation. For me, I've seen a few here that are good, that needs to be improved on. But I'm happy that virtually everybody that wrote something understands what I want from you. It's a good thing that if you wrote something, you know that I know that you understand what the class is about. Because there's nobody that has written an off point here. Nobody has written out of point among these things. If I'm giving you an overall in more than 2-3 things, data that has been given, this is 5 sources of energy. I expected a more complex overall from you. The graph is giving us an information. I was actually looking for some words like research, because it's a report, isn't it? A research is a report, isn't it? A research statement. This is a research statement. This is not the actual whatever, but somebody has stood up and say, by the way it is going, this is the way it's going to be. So it's like a theoretical hypothesis. All right? Because we have not even reached the year. Remember that they said projection. They are projecting. They are trying to forecast. All right? The person is proposing that this will be what will happen. So because of that, remember in your main writing that you are going to be using futuristic tenses. You need to understand the question. It's a research. So the given graph below, the diagram below, or the given diagram illustrates a data from a research in 2010 on the use of energy among Australians over a period of 50 years. I can now put 1980 to 2030 in bracket. Although all the sources of energy increased in their use significantly over this period, however, oil was the most utilized, while solar was the least used. Is that complex enough? Yes, it is. What did I just do? I have my cohesive devices in that statement. However, although, but. I have my comparison in that statement, while, although. I have my facts in that statement. And then, most importantly, I have taken note of everything there, that all of them were used significantly, but one was the most, while one was the least. Do you understand? So what will happen? In my paragraphs 1 and 2, the examiner is going to be looking for the use of all of them. How I'm going to explain that all of them were used. She's going to be on the lookout for them. Now you have solved the problem of comparison without knowing. Do you understand? You are further going
Yes,
to
ma'am.
buttress your point when you start giving your analysis back, as in forward, going forward. So in my paragraph 1, I'm going to have a look at the diagram and then say, I'll begin from the highest, for example. So I'm going to group my highest and my lowest and discuss it. Then I will group the other 3 and discuss them, if that's what I want to do. Do we understand?
Yeah.
So, beginning from 1980, about 35 units or 34 million units of oil was used to generate energy. Although fluctuations in the first, 10 to 15 years, despite that or notwithstanding, the unit experienced a steady rise, a steady increase, a steady growth up until at about 1995. Is that 95 there? Maybe I'll choose 95 onwards. And then the projection, or let me know if I don't want to use the word projection, I have a word in place of projection. The forecast or the estimation, okay, shows that the usage is going to hit. Now you've seen my futuristic tense, that the usage will hit about 48 million by the end of 2030. Am I speaking Greek?
No, ma.
If you took a picture of this, you will find out that what I'm saying is correct. From the beginning, it started at about 35, isn't it? Between 40 and 30, that's when the usage started in 1980. And then it reduced gradually up until around 1990, but increased significantly. So although there was fluctuations, but it increased steadily until at about the year, 2020, then rose significantly to a total use of about 48 billion units in 2030. So it will get up to that point in 2030. That's my analysis, beginning from the highest. You need to get a start point. I have chosen my start point to be my highest, and it starts from the beginning, which is the year 1980. What happened in 1980? About 35 million units of oil was used to generate power or energy, or it was consumed. Although there was fluctuations, but it rose significantly. There was a steady growth up to at around 1995. There was 1995 onwards, and the estimation shows that the usage will get up to or will hit about 48 billion units in the year 2030. Full stop. Then, what is the next one that I have picked? If I picked for highest and lowest, so I will go to my lowest. My lowest here happens to be my solar energy. While solar energy, okay, started at about 4 to 5, is about 4. It's not completely in the middle. So I'll choose 4. 4 million units, and remained steady until at about the year 2005, then increased, slowly, all right, to show a total use of about or of less than 10 million units in 2030. If I close my paragraph 1, what I have done is I've talked about my highest and my lowest, and I have also compared the two of them. If I move over to a paragraph 2, I can go to paragraph 2 and choose to talk about the, let me see which one is the next one. Coal is the next one. Coal started off maybe between 16, from about 16 in 1980, increased slowly but steadily up until the year 2000, rose significantly, though fluctuated, but it is projected that it will hit a total of about 33 million in the year 2030, or after a period of 50 years, because we are speaking in the future here. Then I will go and pick the next one to it, which is the natural gas. Natural gas started on a good run of 20 million, then reduced significantly to 1990, where it stopped, reduced significantly to about 18 in 1980, then picked up again and fluctuated in between, but is projected or estimated to rise up to about 33 billion in the year 2030. Then I go to nuclear gas and discuss nuclear gas along with natural gas and coal gas in my second paragraph. That is one way. Another way for me is to go one after the other. I pick oil, I discuss oil. I say that in 1980, about 35 billion units of oil was used by the Australians or consumed by the Australians. Although it fluctuated for the first 15 years or so, but it increased again, that notwithstanding, and it showed that from the projection that about 48 billion will be used by 2030. Even though for coal, it started, much lower at about 16 billion, and natural gas of 20 billion, they were both expected to consistently climb or to consistently rise. Okay? They were both expected to consistently rise until the year what now? The year 2030, where coal is to be consumed on 33, and then natural gas is 20, maybe 25. Now, you need to use your head in your estimations, because we have seen that there are no numbers in between the map, in between the 20, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So because you are estimating, I want to beg you not to be too certain, to use the word about, up to about, or estimatedly. Do you understand? Less than or equal to. You can use that. It will help you not to be like too sure. That's before your examiner, where the examiner will now start looking at it critically and say, no, she said it's 35. This thing is less than 35. No. If you say about or estimated to be up to or equal to about, that will keep you on a very safe side. So if you choose to discuss this thing By choosing the highest and the lowest, group them together. That's what we call grouping of data. You group your data together, it's fine. If you choose to discuss them one after the other because of the way they are, it's fine. Because in the course of your discussing them, you are comparing the scores, the quantity consumed, you are comparing one to another. You are making use of words like notwithstanding, in addition, furthermore, nevertheless, however. If you use those words well, in between your statement, you score more marks because your examiner is on the lookout for your cohesive devices. And you have finished your task. It's too easy, Abby. Is it very easy? It's easy, isn't it? Seriously, it's easier than we think, actually. When you see it on a first, citing it for the first time, you would think that is really, really difficult. But when you get the explanation, you'll be able to do it without stress. What have I done? I have done the two ways that I explained to you. But because it is graph, I'm not discussing one graph before the other. We have only one graph here. Gift, you are raising your hand. What do you want to say?
I wanted to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, from the overall, since we are having a projection into the future, till 2030, are we using past tense or present tense? Because there's a past tense and there's a future. So
I'm going to send you, I'll send you one knock on your head. I thought I said we are using futuristic tenses. Did anybody hear me mention it?
Okay. Yes.
You're not paying attention.
No, I paid attention. But the overall you gave, it was past tense.
Because it started as a past tense.
And you mix everything together then.
So that is it. I said you are
depending
going to
on
be
what you are
using more
discussing.
of the end of it, the tail end of your discussion has to be future
It's
because
futuristic.
Yes.
What else?
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Please, after going through all what you have said, I have to, I'm just starting, it's just sounding Greek for me. So,
so I was
you have to bear with me.
Confused.
Okay.
When you do one, I think after a time, you have to, not today, as we go on, you have to be repeating what is the style of this graph, what you have been saying. You have to be repeating it so that you get used to it. Then, if you get used to it, if you see any graph now, then we can interpret it. Then what you are saying now, then we'll be able to analyze it and put it in the way it should be done.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I'm just starting today. Everything is just sounding, I know with time, if you repeat and repeat and repeat, I will get it.
Okay,
so that's what I'm going to say.
Okay, I will keep repeating and repeating, but the class will have to move on. At some point, we'll have to move. Now, what we will do is, I have discussed a part of this before. I will send you a link. I'll personally go and look for the links of all of those videos and send them to you one after the other so that you can watch them one after the other before the next class. That way, you too, you will have a small understanding of what we are doing here.
And me too, ma. This is my second meeting.
So it's everybody now?
Yes, everybody, ma.
My second meeting with you, ma.
Okay, I can try something. I can try something. I'll just send it to the Telegram group.
Hello, ma.
Okay.
Hello, ma.
Hello, ma.
Go ahead, please.
I think better still, all these lectures, they're already on the YouTube. They should just go to the YouTube, type professional free lectures. They are all there. They can watch everything there. Because
Yes,
most
sir.
times,
What about matter?
even
And
me
I
myself,
go
I want to
send
get.
No
I
spoil
can
our
just
matter.
go to the YouTube.
Perfect. So I'm going
Sorry,
to
I'm not saying.
for everybody, if you need to rewatch or to hear anything, go to our page on YouTube, you'll find them there. As for the person that is joining us today, I have made a promise that I'm going to personally look for all of the links and share them with her on WhatsApp, and she can go ahead and watch. So she will be
I'm just
abreast.
joining.
She'll be abreast with what we are doing. Who is just joining again for today?
Myself, Bukola is just joining for the first time, ma.
I'm also joining for the first time today.
Oh.
Mary Ann, ma. Last week I didn't
Bukola is
understand it.
just joining for the first time, ma.
So we have
First
so many
timer.
first. Oh yeah, let's break glass for the first timers. Okay, maybe what I'll do is I'll send them to the Telegram group. You follow the
That's
Telegram
fine.
so that you can
Thank
go and watch them one after the other. Yeah.
Thank
So
you,
let's
ma.
go. This class has to move on. If not, we won't do anything in 2 hours. And I still have to go and sleep. I came back from work 14 minutes before this class. Okay, so you have done well with the overall statements that I've seen. Please, it's a mixture of futuristic and past tense. Okay? Your overall will start as a past tense and end as a future tense.
Okay.
End as a future tense in the sense that will be used, will be utilized. Okay? The overall statement I gave, if I can still remember, let me see if I'm seeing the question, I'll be able to construct my English. So if you are looking for word to word of what I said before, you may not get to, because it's as the Spirit directs that we are doing. Now, if I have a graph that says the graph below gives information reports on in 2010 and about the use of energy in Australia since, I can go ahead and say the given line graph or diagram displays energy consumption in Australia, okay, or displays the supposed energy consumption in Australia from 1980 to 2030. Although several sources of energy were utilized, however, oil was the most used, while solar was the least utilized or consumed. I can say, overall, it can be seen that there's an upward trend for all of the types of energy sources used, okay? And it is predicted to continue going up, but it's more for oil and less for solar. Do you understand? So it depends on what word comes to your mind. That's why you need to practice so you can be abreast with all the words for synonyms of what you find. Although there are several sources of energy that is consumed or that will be consumed, it is purported that oil will be the most used at the end, while solar will be less consumed. From this statement, did you see my future and past tense? Do you understand what I did from this statement?
Yes, ma.
So beginning from your statement, the beginning of that statement, because it is futuristic, I've never seen this question. I was just going through the papers while we're here. So it's not like I've done this thing before, I've premeditated on it. No, it's not like that. We are solving it together. That way we are doing this thing so that you can learn as well. Not that I will come and go through one question, write something down and come and read it out for you. It's not like that. So you need to know that it is futuristic and it is in the past, because 1980 is in the past, it has been used already, okay, while 2030 is still ahead and it will be used. So past, present, future is coming and is going. And remember that it is a proportion, it is a suggestion, it is an estimation, okay? It's a projection into the future. It's a research that was conducted. And they are saying that based on what is being used now, this is what will be used in the future. So they are expecting some fluctuations, some rising and falling, but they are saying that it will end at so and so point eventually. Do you get the logic now?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Any question? Any question from this explanation if you are still confused? Because we have finished this one. No? We have discussed paragraph 1 and 2. We have done paragraph 3 as well. We have done overall statement. We have done body paragraph or overview of all of them. We have, from this task that we have done, we have been able to compare and we have highlighted the most important points, because I did highlight the highest, the lowest, okay? I did talk about the fluctuations that happened, didn't I, in the explanation? And I also did mention that you can use any of the methods. You can group them into 2 and pick a group to be discussed in paragraph 2 and in paragraph 3. That's after your overall statement. And you can decide to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just make sure there's a cut between them. When you have enough for one paragraph, leave it, start another paragraph. Do you understand? As much as possible, avoid the use of firstly, comma, start. To begin with, no, avoid the use. In fact, if I were you, hit it on the nail, hit the nail on the head. Say in 1980, start from like that. Or for oil energy consumption, do you understand? Don't beat about the bush. Firstly, then they are expecting secondly, then they are expecting thirdly. And these examiners are very, very critical. If you don't, they are very, very analytical. If you say firstly, they are expecting secondly. So if you don't say secondly and you just continue writing, you are already making mistakes there. Your work, they will score you less for coherence. They will score you less for cohesion. It means your work is not in order. Are you getting my point? You saw the way I did this arrangement when I was explaining them, that I started from either I picked the last and the first and discussed so that I can have that cohesion. I can have that flow between my work, or I started from first to second to third to fourth to fifth. So you need to make a choice of what method you are going to use. Don't go and discuss, so solar energy, then, again, I discovered, or it can be seen that, which other energy? Coal. You are bringing coal to the middle after talking about solar. You are just going and going. And remember that as these examiners are marking your script, they are also going through the whole thing with you as if they wrote the exam with you.
Wow.
Caroline, are you just coming into this class? Anyway, so that's the explanation for this graph, this particular.
So, hello, ma.
I've seen. Yes,
I wanted to know, in the overall, it's just the highest and the lowest you only talked about, Abi. It's okay.
Is that
Like,
what
you
I
didn't
did?
talk about nuclear. No, I wanted to know, like, if you talk about highest and lowest and you just talk about coal and natural gas without talking about the nuclear, because the nuclear
Overall.
is still like
Sis,
higher than
if you
solar.
talk about the others, what are you going to discuss in your main body now?
And that's what I'm asking. Like, it's only the highest and the lowest one can
That's
talk
what
about in the
I did.
overall.
That's what I
Okay,
did.
ma.
But remember that I had made mention of the other energy that was used. Did I not?
Oh, okay.
Did I not? You didn't hear that part, did you?
Okay, no,
I said,
yeah.
although several types of energy was used, but this is the
Okay.
highest and this is the lowest.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
It gave me a very rich overall. It made my overall to have my cohesive devices, and it made it up to, a quantity that is able to make up a paragraph. It's not too small for a paragraph. Do you understand? And it's
Okay.
not too much for a paragraph. It's quite moderate.
Okay,
You get my point?
but is it okay to name the other energies that were used?
No.
Although other types of energy
No.
was used.
Yes,
Okay.
please don't go ahead to give all that details. Save the details for your main write-up.
For main write-up. Okay.
All your overall, all the overalls, save the details for the main write-up. I remember one of them that we wrote before now, overall about the process graph that we did. When we talked about the process graph, having about 11, that there are about overall, about 11 or 10 stages, yeah?
Yeah.
About 11 or 10 stages were involved in that, in the production, okay? Beginning from malted barley to package of the beer for consumption. So you see that I mentioned the first and the last. That's what I've decided to choose, okay? If, for instance, I'm writing an overall about a graph, a map, sorry, about a map, and there are two maps, my overall will be, maybe, and I've not seen any map now, overall, there has been development, or based on this graph, so I will see a particular thing that has changed. So I'll mention that thing from this first one to the second one. For instance, if in that my graph, the market area is now increased or is now smaller, I can claim that one to be my overall. And then I say, there have been several developments in this graph over this period of time, but the most visible among them is the size of the marketplace that has increased twice its size from the original one, or from the graph A. Do you get the logic?
Yes.
So if you are able to do that, you will get your complete mark for that particular thing that you're writing.
Okay,
all right?
ma. Thank you, ma. Yes, ma'am.
Does that make sense?
Thank
Yes,
you, ma.
ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
in this overall that you have given me, I may not have to look out for every other thing. From your overall statement, I told you that it gives an idea into the whole write-up. I can see that there are different, you are now telling me that other energy abound. You can even say there are 5 sources of energy, but this and this is different. I mean, this is highest and this is lowest. Then it will make me to know that you are not just going to talk about the solar and oil, that there are other sources of energy you are going to be discussing. So in your write-up, I'm going to be looking for those other sources of energy. The same way your introduction for writing task 2, where we say that when in your overall statement is not an overall. You're not going to say overall. It's just that introduction. That's where you tell me what you are going to be doing. And you say that you agree that teachers are better than doctors. And I will now be looking for your points to support that teachers are better than doctors. Or you have told me that the essay will be discussing your opinion, okay? We'll be discussing both sides of this opinion and will give your view. I will now be looking for the discussion of both sides, and then I'll look for your view as well. The same way you are telling me that this write-up will be discussing the causes and will profile possible solutions to these problems. So in the paragraph, in the whole of your write-up, I'm going to be looking out for the causes and I'll be looking out for the solutions. So your overall, that's why they say first impression matters. If you have a wrong overall, you are going to miss it. There is no way you won't miss it because your examiner is coming to read your write-up with a confused mind already. If your overall is clear, you are going to make a good mark in the person's head already.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And again, ma, in writing introduction, like, can you say the illustration above, like, because you are trying to talk about
The
the graph.
given illustration,
Okay, the given
I
illustration.
feel
Okay.
is a better grammar.
Okay, ma.
Or the illustration shows information or gives information or
Or
is
provides
exactly.
details.
Exactly.
Okay.
So don't be, let's not write tautology too much in our write-ups. Do you
I have
understand?
a question.
Yes,
Go ahead.
excuse me, ma.
We just saw questions today. Go ahead. Beauty.
Okay, ma'am. The overall statement, is it all in paragraph 1 or is a
Everything is in
different
paragraph 1.
introduction apart from the paragraph?
Everything is in paragraph 1. Have a look at what Dorothy have written. It's not the most correct, but have a look at this overall, in the introduction and the overall. If you check your chart, you will find it. I think it's the last one. That's why I'm using it as an example. Is this thing worthy to be made into 2 paragraphs? This write-up here that you are seeing, is it okay to be made 2 paragraphs, judging by your own standard? Is it? It's not. All the writing tasks that they've been marking that I've been seeing, overall and your problem statement are always together. I don't know where people get different ideas of you writing your overall separately. Please don't do it, okay? Thank you. Write your overall and your whatever together, your problem statement together as a paragraph. Remember to link it up. The word overall is a linking word. It shows that you are writing something, you are estimating, you are joining something together. Remember to use words like however, use words like although, but, okay? Going forward, therefore, thereafter. Meanwhile, please.
Excuse me, ma.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Please, I want to confirm something.
Yeah, ma'am.
Like after we have changed our keywords, like for instance, now projections, we now set forecasts, predictions, and all that. Can I be using them interchangeably? I must be using one particular one all the time.
That's what I've been saying it. You use, in fact, if you get 4, 5, use the 4, 5. Don't even repeat them.
Okay.
It shows how rich your vocabulary is, and your examiner is happy that you know what you are doing. It carries its own mark. Remember, it's a band descriptor. Your lexical resource is a band descriptor. Okay?
All right.
Yes. In the absence of any other question, wow, we've got just 12 minutes. This is not fair. Only one thing that we did today, but it's a good thing though. Do we all understand this particular one? So I can introduce something and we'll go ahead. The next thing is about
yes, ma'am. You're a good tutor, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay. Oh, you're welcome, ma'am.
Excuse me.
All right. Yes, please.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Please, it's good for us to understand. It's good for us to understand what you are teaching.
Yeah.
Rather than going pages, then we don't understand. If you can understand what you are teaching, even if it's 1 hour or 2 hours, it's okay for you by the day. It's okay if you can understand it. Instead of going so many pages, then we don't understand. It's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
So we are okay with what you are doing. but don't say the time is this, or if you are okay with the time, even it's 1 minute.
I'm okay.
The fact that I've understood it, you can done for the day. You can
As for me, I'm fine. I'm fine with what we are doing. At least I say it usually. I usually say that there's no point moving on when people don't understand what you are teaching them. It's better for them to know what you are teaching than for you to go ahead and just be talking and they don't understand. So yeah. I'm going to, many of us sent in our work. Did you send your work? You sent your work. Let me see your hand. Amaka, Fafa, I still remember some. Uchenna, I think I saw Oni. Somebody Oni. Is there any Oni in this class? Okay, Hannah, yes, I've seen.
And I
Yes.
sent mine. I sent mine too.
Yay, peace. Did I see your
Yes.
work?
Me too.
Okay. You will all have your corrections, I promise, by Monday, Tuesday, I'm on night. Oh boy. Let's see. I'm going to discuss everything by Tuesday, but I will send you your personal corrections by Saturday next week. Okay? We will discuss them. I was impressed by some of the write-ups, but a general thing in the whole of your write-ups, all of you, almost everybody, is grammar. Grammar. Please, as much as possible, improve on your grammar. We are making one sentence, we have not finished. The use of a in a place of the, a instead of the. I know it's foundational. It's not whatever. Some of us can speak more than we can write. Some can write more than they can speak. It's a foundational thing that we are trying to work on. Hopefully, our children will be better than us by God's grace. But we need to work on what we have at hand. Please, grammar is very, very important. It carries a high mark and is a band descriptor. If your grammar is wrong, the explanation is wrong. At the end of the day, they'll tell you they don't understand what you have written, especially IELTS. You need to know that the British people colonized us and they taught us English. I heard that my father had white teachers when he was schooling. But because our people took over and the whole teaching is being adulterated at the end of the day, coupled with the miracle centers for WAEC and all of those exams, these people here don't believe that we have a good educational system anymore. And that's why they are putting you and me through the stress of writing English language before you can come to this country. So we need to put in our best and show them that we will be able to do what they want us to do. IELTS is the hardest stage in your processes. I tell you the truth. That's why I encourage people, those people writing CBT before IELTS. I tell you, you are wasting your time. You don't have to rush. Don't worry. Don't spend your time on practicing for CBT. Pass IELTS first.
Okay.
The moment you pass IELTS, 1 week of practice for CBT, I tell you the truth, if you write, you will pass. Why? Because CBT is about nursing processes, our ethics, the things you are doing, everything about nursing. There's nothing different in CBT from nursing. It's just the organization, the way they do their thing from one step to the other. Back home, you can carry swab, the wet swab you use to scrub. You can hide it inside your hand and use the same hand to carry the dry swab and give the injection and use it to, stop bleeding or anything. But the difference with here is they will keep that dry swab, that wet swab first, allow the place to dry. So their procedure is more like wasting of time to us, because we have many patients we are looking after. You want to do quick back home and finish. So you can't waste time. Who has time to clean bomb and allow it to dry first? How many seconds before you give injection? So that's just the only thing you need to work on when you are coming to do your CBT. Those small, corrections, and that's all. And maybe some ethics of nursing, some of our behaviors, and those things you can just read them and you will understand them. So concentrate on practicing for IELTS. If you pass IELTS, I tell you the truth like this, every other process. I was in the UK about 6 months after I passed IELTS. I was already in the UK. And I was delayed because NMC Nigeria delayed in sending my verification to NMC UK. Now, verification is online. 1 week, 2 weeks, people are verified. The process is faster. So don't worry, don't be in a hurry. Please calm down. Mommy, calm down. Mommy, calm down. Mommy, wait first. Calm down. Slow down. Study. Pass IELTS. Every other process will follow immediately you pass IELTS. It's like magic. The moment you pass IELTS, that's all. And in your practice for IELTS, please don't attack it with fear, because you make it difficult for even me that is teaching you. When you are afraid about certain things, you make it too gaga, it's too strong. You are too rigid. You are not flexible at all. At the end of the day, even when the teaching is trying to enter, the brain is all tightened up and constricted because this thing is too hard now. How do I want? No, calm down. Be flexible. Relax. You will get there. When you understand what we are saying, see the way it is now, there's nobody in this class that if I give you a graph, you will not be able to say something about. You'll be able to write something about it. So please do your practices. If you go to Google IELTS practice questions, IELTS practice questions, you can put in writing task 1 practice questions. You will find many graphs, many tables. Just be writing on them. Be writing on your own. Be reading and correcting yourself. I can't guarantee you that I'll have 100% time for your personal practices, but the ones I give, I will try as much as possible to go through them so you can have your corrections. For the newcomers who have just joined us, you can only have your practices if you go back to the previous ones. For instance, the last writing class that we did, where I gave out that assignment, it was in the course of the class that the question came to my head. I myself had to write it down for me to know it. And that's why I told them, anybody writing it, you write out the question. So based on the question is what I'm going to judge you on. You can't get the question from me because I don't know exactly what it is. So if you please go to the previous one, watch it. Towards the end, you will find the question. We said the question in the class. Repeat them again. That way, you have done 2 things for yourself. You will get the question and you will get the explanation before the question came up. So you won't be confused and you can answer it correctly. Okay? I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. We have done reading. We have done listening. We have done speaking. We even did some speaking practices here in this class. Our listening, I have directed us to go to IELTS Zone on YouTube and listen. Keep doing the listening test. Listen in a noisy environment. It will help you with your earpiece. You can concentrate. Then you will be surprised that when you are now alone, you can hear better because you have trained your ears to hear, to pick something before then. Score yourself at the end of the day. Before you are ready to write your IELTS test, if you are using IELTS Zone, you should be scoring at least 36, 38 at least before you are ready to write your listening test. There are also reading tests there. When you start, you may be scoring 10, 18, 20 over 40, and you'll be discouraged. Please don't be discouraged. Keep doing it. And one expo is for you to not listen to the same question all the time. Go to different ones. That way you familiarize with the accent, you familiarize yourself with the mode of question, the way it comes. Please go to our YouTube channel. Watch all of the previous classes. That way, you stand a better chance of understanding our future classes. We are still going to explain those things again. I will keep doing them over and over, but you need a basic understanding which you can only get from the previous classes. All right?
Yes, ma'am.
In the absence of, okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Angela, what do you want to say?
Yes, thank you very much for your time and the classes. I really appreciate. But my question is actually on reading.
Okay.
Maybe because that is my major challenge.
Okay.
What I saw in the program, that is the program stated in the Telegram group, was that we're going to do reading today.
Okay.
So I even kept some reading practices, even as in ready, because I've come to see that at times when one chooses not giving, you now end up finding that the answer is false.
Okay.
Maybe because there's a little word or so that made the thing change. Maybe they put most or they put some, you know. So I don't know when we're going to do, maybe bring some questions like that we could actually strike the difference between that not giving, the false, the false, and even true at times.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know whether my
Very
question
much
is clear.
drawing my attention to that. I was actually supposed to have a reading class. I think I mixed it up, but it's fine.
Okay.
In reading, the most difficult part of reading is not giving. Yes, no, not giving. True, false, not giving.
Yes.
Even for me, when I wrote my own exam, it was the most difficult. The only thing that helps there is for you to know the logic. We did some practices. If you were here, we did some practices. Yeah? Did anybody attend that reading class where we did practices?
Yes,
Where are all the former members? None of them is here today.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Not giving yes, no, true, false is the most difficult. We are going to solve reading again. In reading, not giving, the answer is yes when it confirms the statement, not when it's similar, not when it's nearest in meaning, not when it's close. When it confirms the information, then the answer is true. When it does not confirm, it is the opposite. When it is the direct opposite, it does not confirm, then it is false. The answer is not given when there is no information about that thing, or it is not possible for you to know. Okay? For instance, I will keep saying it. Joy Agagwu is an IELTS tutor, a mother of 3 children, and a nurse. Joy is a mother of 3 children. Yes or no? Angela?
Yes.
Okay, let me use true or false. True or false?
True.
Joy is a mother of 2 boys and a girl and a nurse. True, false, not given.
That's the problem. Is it a false or not given?
Not given.
Not given.
Not given because there was no mention of the sex of the children. 3, correct. But it's impossible for you to know the sex of the children. Joy is a mathematics teacher. Yes or no? True or false?
False.
False.
Joy is a teacher. True or false?
True.
Joy is a nurse. Okay. Joy is a nurse that works in the hospital.
Not given.
Not given.
It's true
Because
now.
I can
She
be
said
a
she's a
nurse in the
nurse.
community, I can be a nurse in school, I can be a nurse working on the streets.
Okay, say
You
in the
don't know, a
hospital.
nurse can work
Okay.
anywhere. But I said in the hospital. So there's always that thing. The problem you have, Angela, is that you make assumptions. That's the truth. In reading, you don't make assumptions. Either there or not there. That is it. And if it is there, it is yes or true. If it is not there, it is no or false. If you cannot tell, then it is not given. President Muhammadu Buhari is the president of Nigeria and the commander-in-chief of armed forces in Nigeria. True or false?
True.
President Muhammadu Buhari is an army general. True or false?
False.
Not given. Not given.
Not given.
Not given.
Not given. Somebody say true because you know he's a general in the army.
That was
Assumption.
So you see, assumptions. You don't act based on assumptions here.
What
the purpose of this exam, set aside every knowledge that you have of this particular topic. That's why I tested you with President Muhammadu Buhari. You know he was an army general, so you can say he's an army general. It's correct. But based on this information that you have on your hand, there's no mention of general there, so it is not given. Okay. But
Yes,
when they say he is not the president of Nigeria, it is false. So the true or false is opposite of each other. All right. If it is correct, it's true. If it is wrong, it is not true. If it is impossible for you to know, then it is not given. So that's that with true, false, not given. In our next class, we will do reading. So I hope I'll see you there, Angela. In our next class, we'll do reading and you'll get a better understanding. In the meantime, with this understanding that you have now, okay, with this understanding that you have, Angela, go ahead, look for all the true, false, not given, yes, no, not given question, answer them and see if you can improve before our next class. All right?
Okay.
In the absence of any other question, I still remain Joy Agagwu, and you have attended the class by overseas nurses, and it is a free class. It is a free class, and you have been encouraged to subscribe so you can get notifications. Join the Telegram group. All the information you need is there. I don't have time to go through questions every other time. That's why you bring them to the class. If you have difficult questions in the course of your practice, bring them to the class. We'll discuss them. Other people will understand them. Actually, our next class is going to be a discussion class, and it's going to be a reading discussion class. A reading discussion class. So everybody go ahead, go all out, get reading questions, go and look for Cambridge 14 and do the academic test. Academic Cambridge 14, do test 1 to 4, reading test 1 to 4. Take note of your scores, okay? Bring them to the class. Any area where you have difficulty, then we'll discuss them. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So next week you are going to be teaching me English. You're
Please,
going to
what's
be
the
teaching
time
me
of our
English.
lecture on Tuesday?
The time of our
time
lecture is there. It's there on what I
Fine.
sent to everybody.
Okay, ma.
Yes, please. Have a great day. I need to go and sleep.
Please, ma, I want to ask a question,
Thank
please.
you.
Hello, ma.
Thank you,
Okay.
ma.
Okay.
Sorry, ma. Please, ma.
Go ahead.
The link that was sent for this meeting, will it be the same for the next class?
You have joined the meeting today.
Hello,
I
ma.
think it is. It should be. It's the same link.
The same link.
Have you registered?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma, I did.
Perfect. Then you can come in anytime. Yeah, it's the same. Mr. Peter, you came into the class quite late. I hope everything is fine. Okay, you can go through whatever we have done on the YouTube. It's available for you to go through, all right?
Okay, ma. Ma, please, we that will try attempting the assignment. Sorry. How do we send it to you?
It's not to me. There's an email. IELTS oversee nurses IELTS at gmail.com. Oversee nurses IELTS IELTS at gmail.com. That's where you send your. You can ask on the Telegram group. You will get the correct email. I think I sent it there. I sent it there yesterday.
It's on the
Oh
Telegram.
God, I am still on night today. Goodbye. Good night, everybody.
Sorry,
I'll
ma'am.
see you
Thank you.
again
Thank
next
you so
week.
much.
Thank you.